Hello, treasures. I want to make this craft too. So come along with me as we make this project, and I might chat with you alone this time because I think my boys decided to go and hang out with their dad. So welcome to Natalie's Perspective. Come along. Okay, so if you didn't see the last video, we made this cute little owl, and my kids decided to join me after I said they probably wouldn't, but they did for a little bit. My oldest actually participated in the whole thing, surprisingly. They helped make these. So this one is the one I made the other night, and then Asher made this one, and then Elias did this one, and they said that they didn't really like them as much, so that's why I thought I would do this on my own. That was kind of fun. Now, this video, we're going to do this weaving flower. Okay, my scissors are being really silly. These are for Michael's, and I am not sponsored, but I wanted to do this because I've been thinking I need to get these videos up. There's so many ideas of things I want to talk to you guys about, and I like having an organized house, and so I thought I would do cleaning videos as motivation, and while it is helpful, I do not enjoy it. And so I want to do these videos and chat with you while doing something that I enjoy. And this was an idea to allow myself to be creative and crafty, because I also like being creative and crafty, and chat. So this is the first one. Oh, I should have done this one first, because then I could have used this needle for the owl. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyways. Yay for having a needle. All right. I appreciate this already so much right now. What's this for? Just a random piece of plastic? Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Taking a moment to figure out what I'm doing. All right. So let's start with what it says to do first. So, okay. Thank you for bearing with me on this. I know that there's a high chance that people are dropping off, but if you're with me, then this message is for you. If you enjoy doing crafts, if you enjoy other people doing crafts, or if you just wanted to hang out with me, I'm very grateful. Okay, what's going on? How do I get this out of here? There's a high likelihood that I'm going to create a knot just trying to untangle this. It's supposed to be pretty simple, but like I mentioned in the last one with the owls, that was a little bit more tricky than I feel like a 6-year-old would have. But Asher was saying it's minimum age 6 and up, and it didn't say it was going to be easy. Can you follow picture instructions? I don't know. I'm definitely talking about myself for sure. Okay, so to start it off. It doesn't exactly say where you're supposed to start, but on the back is what I'm seeing, I think. So we'll do that, and I'll knot this first part. If I can get my fingers to cooperate, that is. Okay, well, it just let go of the whole frame. Okay, so let's try this. All right. I think this is how I'm supposed to do this. Seems really long. Oh, I don't know now. Okay, so anyways, only once, I think. You're only supposed to go around this once? Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna loop it through underneath. And tie it off. Oh, I guess I could do that. All right. So now I have this thing. All right. So what I was thinking in my videos is that I would like to share little tips along the way that I have learned. Why are these scissors so terrible with cutting materials right now? Oh my goodness. Okay. Maybe I have higher ambitions than what's feasible trying to do a crafting project. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go and let's continue on this. With the holidays coming, we are very well in the holidays actually. We are almost to Christmas when I'm recording this, but regardless of when I'm recording this, I know that this message is timeless, so whenever you see it, you're meant to see it. And making a flower, that could literally be any single time of the year. But this is a season that typically is very stressful and full of anxiety, even though it's supposed to be a celebration time, typically. People are so focused on trying to make things perfect and trying to take care of other family members, or showing up in a certain way, or wanting to, you know, get the presents for their kids or other family members. Trying to make ends meet still, even, and it's really hard. And it's really easy to get sucked into that mindset and getting pulled into the hustle and the bustle and the rushing. I'm sure you're aware, otherwise you might not even be on this video. But this is a reminder to you that you do not have to allow that mindset to govern you. You can control the thoughts that you think. And I know that so many people say that, and they don't really give you sometimes they don't give you the tools that you need. So this is a video that I'll explain a little bit about that if you hang out with me. One of the things that I've said in other videos that I've done in the past is that when I have had thoughts that come in that are trying to tell me that I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough resources, or that I'm not good enough, or I need to worry about this, or I need to stress about that for whatever reason, those thoughts are not coming from God, and those thoughts are not coming from me. So many times I allowed myself to believe that those thoughts were mine. But that is also a lie. Because you are a child of God. I am a child of God. And you would not be on this video if that were not true. You would not be hanging out with me if you did not believe that, even in a small portion of your existence. So the fact that you're even here, the fact that you're even listening to me while I'm trying to take this knot out, talking about you being a child of God, it is true. And when God looks at you, He sees you as His perfect, beloved child. No matter what you've seen, no matter what you've said, no matter what you've done, no matter where you are, it is true. You are perfect, and you are His. And when any thoughts that are coming in that are telling you that you don't have enough time, you know what, I'm just gonna knot this just like it is. When any thoughts that are coming in saying that you are anything less than perfect, that you don't have enough time, that you don't have enough money, that you don't have enough whatever, those thoughts are not Those thoughts are not from God. They're not of you. Those thoughts are a lie. They're coming from the enemy. And what I do, first of all, is to be aware of them when those thoughts come. Sometimes those thoughts come in and I haven't been aware of them right away, and I allowed myself to sit in that belief for a while. But the moment that I became aware of them, the moment that I began to understand that they were not from me, that's the moment that everything started to change my view of it. And then I said, no. And I would take my hand and I would grab that thought and I would take it and throw it away over here. And I'd say, no, I don't receive that thought. It is not from me. It is not from God. So it is not allowed in my mind. I reject you. I command you to leave. You are not mine. And I know that the first couple of times that I did that, it was really difficult. And I had to tell it multiple times that it had to leave before it listened. Because I'd agreed to it so many other times in the past, thinking that it was mine, claiming it as mine, but it's not. And I don't need to receive it. Whether it's related to your worth or your value or the time that you have, the resources that you have that I keep saying over and over again. Whether it's about anxiety or stress about work or your family or relationships or anything. If it is not true and it's not in alignment with God, with purity, with love, with joy and peace, kindness, gentleness, it is not something that you have to hold on to in your own space and in your own mind anymore. And I felt very strongly to send this message out. Because if you're like me, I didn't know. I grew up in the church and I heard all the time, God is love. God gives us, He gives us the strength that we need. He gives us the courage that we need. He says, do not be afraid. Yet, like in society and even in the church, that's what I would see on a constant basis. And I didn't really have any tools. I didn't know any better. I'm going to go the opposite direction because I noticed that I was creating a kind of pattern, but I want to do something different. So it's going over, under, and there's 8 of them, so it's always going to be the same ones over and over. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to be filled with anxiety, stress, pain, discomfort. You don't have to do it anymore. You don't have to agree to it anymore. It is a choice, and you have the power to choose. Another thing that just came up was how I have been made aware. Okay, let's go back for a moment. Story time. When I was 14, 15 years old, we moved from Michigan to Texas and started going to a church in Fort Worth. And I would say it's kind of a bigger church. And I remember going there. That's really where I remember. I mean, there was some distinct memories when I was a kid. I was like 7 when I remember giving my life to Jesus, like going up, doing the altar call multiple times. Until finally one day, one of my teachers was like, you've already asked Jesus into your heart. You don't need to keep doing it. And I remember that Sunday being like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to keep doing this. But then I remember going to church often with my family, and we would go multiple times. I don't know. I don't need to go into all these details. I would go to church often with my family. And I remember having memories in different churches where I connected with God and connected with people. I remember when we got to Fort Worth, though, that was where I remember really like owning my faith more on my own. And I remember at that church, that particular one, during the time that we were there, like the slogan for that church is "Love is King," And they would talk about how when Jesus came, he demonstrated love. That God is love. Jesus came to show us that God is love, that we don't have to be afraid. Don't have to be afraid of God. And where am I going with this? Oh, that since I've left that church, I mean, that's still a thing. Like, I believe that. I know God is love. With all of my heart, I know that God is love. And that is something that I am meant to pour out to anyone and everyone that I meet, to help them understand that God is love and that he loves us. One of the things that I have noticed on my journey, now this may, I don't know, I have to be real with what I've been experiencing. I have been what is the word? I have been exposed, I guess, exposed to the spiritual community, not just in Christianity, and have experienced in the spiritual community how they talk about God and how they act towards and with each other, and how loving and supportive and beautiful that community is. I know that makes the heart of God so happy. I know it. I have no questions about that in my mind. And it is something that I feel like as a whole that our church has missed. Maybe you're watching this and you've been a part of the spiritual community. I'm sure that you can attest to that. I'd love to hear your comments about it in the section below, for sure. Like, what have you experienced? Have you been in a beautiful experience to have received the love of God through church? Have you been hurt by church? Have you been involved in any spirituality? Have you been exposed to the spiritual community and experienced the love of God? What are your thoughts on this? Because if God is truly love, which he is, it says so in the Bible, if God is love, then there can be no evil thing in God. We are human, and of course the church is made up of a bunch of humans. So we must be mindful that when going to church, it's more like a hospital. I've heard that terminology and I have completely grabbed onto it, because when people generally are looking for hope and they have nowhere else to go, the first place most people think of when they have hit rock bottom generally is a church. And that is especially why I think that when you've hit rock bottom, that's when you're usually the most broken. And things are not really going the way that you anticipated them to go. Right? Like when you're doing all right and you're happy and you're not necessarily like a Christian, you don't really think to go to church. You're like, hey, I'm happy living how I'm living. Everything's going right. Everything is doing fine enough. I'm not saying that when you are a Christian, that you, like, once you become a Christian, that you stop going to church. That's definitely not what I'm saying at all. It's just not typically where people go when they're not on that track. Where is that spot? Need to get a different pair of scissors. Oops, pulled that a tiny bit too tight. Oh. Oops. Hmm. Hmm. One thing I've noticed in the Christian community is that there is a lot of judgment on behavior, but not a lot of judgment on, or not a lot of teaching on adjusting behavior with God. It's a lot like trust God to do the thing, but not a lot of active tools of how to do it. Like, I don't know exactly. Yes, I do. Okay, Holy Spirit, how do you want me to? Well, that's one thing. Not really depending on Holy Spirit. There's a lot of talk about trust Holy Spirit, but like not a lot of clear instructions of how do you know that you are hearing Holy Spirit? What does that actively look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? There's a lot of like, I guess it goes back to you should know how to do it. Like, no, you're coming in broken, right? You're coming in broken. You don't know how, you don't know how to do the things. You're coming in, oh man, oops, I shouldn't have done that. You're coming in and you don't know how to hear. You're like, Jesus, I believe that you love me. I believe that you came and all the things. I'm going to acknowledge and do whatever. But then, now that we're here, and I want to follow your way, why is nobody teaching me? What does this actually look like? What does it actually involve? And far, far too many people are like, okay, I hear you, Jesus. I hear that you came to die for me. Forgive me of all of my sins. But what's next? Some churches, I know there are some churches that really are out there doing a fantastic job with next steps. But then so many of them, that's kind of where you left. Like, okay, you accepted Jesus, now come to church and listen to the message every week. But then, like, that's it. That's it. And then in the spiritual community, there is a lot of like hands-on of how to do certain things. But there's missing Jesus in all of it. I'm not sure I'm making a lot of sense right now. I've been a Christian my entire life. And being exposed to spirituality has quite literally changed me in the best possible way. And knowing how to put everything into practice that I have learned over the years in church, and tying it together with being able to move energy, starting to see people regularly being healed when I pray for them. Anxiety leaving, realizing the control that we have over our own bodies, that God gave us control over our bodies and authority over spiritual things. Tying the two of these together has given me so much freedom. I just want everybody to experience it. I genuinely want people to experience this. I know that this might spark some inquisitiveness, some conversations. This might spark some fear in people listening to this. I want to encourage you, if you're still here and you haven't popped off, I want to encourage you to ask Holy Spirit, is this true? If you are not sure what answer you're getting, you can even start with that. Holy Spirit, will you please show me what a yes looks like? And then feel into yourself. Close your eyes. Pay attention to how your body is feeling. Listen and watch and feel for the answer. What does a yes look like? What does a no look like? Is any part of this true? You can really ask that question for anything. I know I'm putting myself out there right now. This is not something that you would normally hear from a Christian who has gone to church her entire life. Not something that you would typically hear. Again, I understand if it's scary. But here's the other part. Here's the other part. All throughout the Bible, over 365 days, or over 365 times in the Bible, it says, do not be afraid in some way, shape, or form. That's one time for every day and then some. Over 365 times. Over one time a day. Do not be afraid. Do not fear. It's usually when God comes in and he's trying to talk to his people. So give that a moment to think about. And then ask God, what is true? And then if you want to, come back, watch my channel, join me on this journey while I start to share more of my story. And if you are curious and want more in-depth conversation, feel free to reach out to me in the comments, in the email, through my website, on Instagram, wherever you feel like. Right now, I'm all about exploring truth and wanting to dig deep. So if this sounds exciting to you, curious to you, I'd love to chat. I'd love to hang out with you. I'd love to explore together. I'm gonna cut that actually right there and just tuck you in right there. Oh, right. I can put the leaves on now. I absolutely love this so much. Yay! That is so cute. Oh my goodness. All right, well, thanks for watching this, and I hope that you had as good of a time as I did, and we will chat next time.